To receive your greatness, you're going to have to go to your greater. So we want to receive from the greater. So what's greater than all? Is the creator of all. The wise all law. And we're going to hear this from a different perspective. We done crossed the waters of all the holy prophets that was listed by Noble Drew Ali. We just finished the Buddha teachings in our last lesson. So if we seen from beginning to end, there's a common thread running from prophet to prophet, prophet to prophet. And that's, we need to know the divine creator. And the divine creator and self have some relation that we got to understand. So we're going to bring in another text to understand more of what Muhammad was speaking on. And we should know by now these things are come again. All the prophets come again. We should know that Muhammad is Jesus come again. Now we know Muhammad is not his real name. We've been led to believe that is his real name. But we must understand that it's not. So a lot of wrong writings have been attributed to Muhammad, just as a lot of wrong writings have been attributed to Jesus Christ. But at KOS, we have sifted through all of those texts to find the true, right, and one way. The way and the truth. So we hope you enjoy. In truth and love, we bring our next lesson. Anybody see our cover? Okay, yes. We're going to be reading Muhammad's Allah. Is that it? We're going to be reading by Allah from Muhammad's meaning. If we all present. And this is very, very, very crucial in our times right now. Because we need to get an understanding of God, and we need to get an understanding of all law. If we don't, our purpose in existence will be null and void. If you consider these words to be the greatest powers or the higher power, then you must indulge into understanding what does these words truly mean. Because these are not just words, these are meanings to indicate to you a certain message. So we want to go to the heading where it say we're going to read without prejudice. We're going to read without prejudice. Then we're going to go, once you see that, go right up to the translator's preface. It's right above it.
From God to Allah.
It say translator preface in black letters as a heading.
So we starting with the reading.
It's on page 11.
We starting with reading about prejudice?
Oh, right above that. Scroll pages up and you'll see translator's preface, the preface. Everybody there?
Page 11, you say, right?
Yes, and it should say translator's preface at the top.
I have a question.
Please.
How did you find this book?
Searching for the Creator. As they say, truth seekers. When you're looking for meaning, to understand and get to these, and specifically these are previous maps that led to the Great Awakening, receiving the great revelation, as the great divine creator says, reveal to us the straight path. And so you can have a multi-understanding. Because you have your understanding of God. And you done heard many people talk about God. When it comes to the other side, all law, have you heard enough? And so we're going to go to the other side. And so we'll see why Muslims say what they say. And if you look with a deeper eye, with a careful care and self, and you may come to a new understanding, received to you by the Creator himself, who is within you. So all these things is to spark that which is in you for you yourself to bring it out of you. If you don't question deeply the source of things, then you're not serving the right Creator. The Creator wants you to question. The Creator that I serve is pleased by those asking the right questions. pleased by questioning minds. And I was one of those questioning minds. And so these things, we have to understand, what is it? What is the end goal? The end goal to questions is to know. And so we want to make sure you can't know something and not know it at the same time. So you have to know yourself. Do you know it or do you not know it?
Do not know. Yeah.
And that's where it starts before you open up anything.
Yep.
So we're going to begin under the translator's preface to get a conception of what we finna understand through this literature. Contrary to conventional perception and striking to established views, Muhammad declared there is no God. In fact, his primary message negated and nullified the concept of godhood altogether. Many might find this a contentious statement and conceivably discomforting to the conditioned beliefs, but that does not change the truth that Muhammad never proclaimed the existence of a God. To be precise, his words were, in quotations, there is no God, there's only Allah. This statement, known in Islam as the word of unity, is commonly assumed to mean there is or there are no other God or gods, that there is only one God, and that God is Allah. The simple truth is nowhere in Muhammad's teachings is there any suggestion that Allah is a God. Very interesting. Have anyone found that in Muhammad's teaching himself, where you find in the correct structure that Allah is God? And we have the Sufiyon right here.
Hope you change that one to make sure, because I'm. My page laughingly different from yours. It's supposed to be the same though. Okay, it's finished now. Okay,
Thank
Yeah. And I'll just, my last words was on that. The beginning paragraph say this statement, and the end is say the teachers, there's any suggestion that Allah is God, is a God. In this book, Ahmed Hulusi presents a contrasting outlook to what has been unquestionably accepted for the centuries as the creed of Islam, urging us to question it. If there is no God, then what is Allah? If Allah is not a God, then to what did Muhammad refer by the name Allah? If the Allah we have so ardently and devotedly embraced is not the Allah that Muhammad was referring to, then who or what is Muhammad's Allah? Now this is where it's finna get really good. For those who are seeking truth unbiasedly. So that takes us to our next. Let's scroll down. We finish that and go to read without prejudice. And carefully listen as we discern. And use your discerning self to understand. Okay, read without prejudice. From a God who thinks like man. From a God who thinks like man to man who thinks like Allah. Based on centuries of conditioning, humanity has come to assume the existence of a God who thinks just like man. I ain't gonna spoil nothing, but listen to the words carefully. A God who can fall asleep or become absent-minded, while things can transpire without his awareness. In response to such primitive thoughts, the Quran asserts that a God who sleeps or dozes does not exist. For thousands and thousands of years, humanity lived with the assumption of a God who thinks like man, who evaluates and judges like man. Though from time to time people of truth have received revelations and have come to remind mankind that such a God does not exist. But how can one explain to a primitive-minded person with limited understanding who does not comprehend the fine truth in the expression, the servant of Allah, and instead thinks of him as God's subsidiary on earth, that the servant of Allah is actually the being who most perfectly manifests the names and attributes of Allah. In heed of Jesus' words, you think like a man, not like Allah. The servant of Allah is he who evaluates creation like Allah. But how to explain this to those with finite minds, limited comprehension? The venture of man is between these 2 points, from a human-like God to the servant of Allah. Every individual exists to comprise a stage of this formation. All of us, no one excluded. Man forms the stage in which he will forever reside with his own activities and his own thoughts in this world. If after reading this sentence, one does not feel excitement or a shiver down their spine, leave him in his corporality. Dead, let the dead bury the dead. Let him continue his fleshly life with the satisfaction of his bodily pleasures. Let him listen to all of this as though it is some fairy tale, then turn back to his daily entertainment. What Noble Drew Ali said, if you don't like what I brought, return to the state of mind that I found you in before I came. So we talking about Muhammad and we talking about Ali. All right, my last two. Where are we on the venture between the human like God to the servant of Allah? Peace and blessings to my friends who find this question important and valuable. And I was one of those answering the question. When you don't want to be deceived anymore, you willing to read it for yourself.
Yeah.
You willing to go in and see for yourself. And you're willing to think for yourself. And if any God is real, and if you're doing any thinking that's real, then the real shall unfold. And what unfolds is what we finna find out when we get into Muhammad's Allah. Any questions before we go forward to the introduction?
Yeah, I'd like to say to the introduction, while you was reading that, between the human like God to the servant of Allah. And how long our people and all other people been calling on, or been just saying the word God, been calling on the source of God. And for some reason, we get a little results because if we call for something for him to come and relieve us with some pain or heartache, then we find ourselves sitting there waiting and wanting. And then when we live amongst people who you hear others say about God, but yet it's still, it's a whole lot of God talk, but there's a whole lot of trouble as well. So I guess you're saying that where they are still like this, they're still in this stage of the human-like God, instead of being in the stage of servants of Allah. Because they call it a trap, the God trap.
Everyone is. If you're not seeking, if you're not searching, if you're not in a quest, like your life depends on it, for the knowledge of what this stuff is. Because the older people got it bad.
Oh, got it bad.
And they don't know what this stuff is. And they don't go and search or quest for knowledge, nor walking in the path of the divine. This is a big question that young people are asking. Because if the young people ask, they'll say there is no God. Look what them came forth from it. How could you want them to believe in something that got the people in such a mess? So this is why we have to understand these two most important words of our time. I don't know if y'all know or agree or disagree. All of y'all life, the two most important words is God. Would y'all agree or disagree? I need some interaction.
And I know the next one, Jesus.
Well, that could God cover Jesus? Because people associate those concepts. This is why it's called the human-like God.
Yeah.
Jesus came in flesh,
Mm-hmm.
human-like.
Yeah.
So when we talking about God, that covers all that parameter.
Yeah.
The next word is Allah.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the two most important words, and if people don't know what these two words, you might well say they cooked.
Mm.
You might well either put your own foot in the frying pan,
Mm.
cause you're gonna be cooked anyway.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
It said you rather lose one arm
Yeah.
and walk into heaven with one arm to have two arms and to be in sin.
That's right.
Now our people have not, because it take courage to open up such a question about God and Allah, and to put this on the record. Because in a time of matter, in a time of need, we need both understandings so we can have the best choice and the best decision making for self. We done heard the story of God, and we see the position that everyone is in.
Yes, indeed.
They have no power, they
Yes,
have no
indeed.
knowledge, they
Yes,
have no
indeed.
understanding of everlasting life, and the truth is not in them. Because the lie has replaced the truth. So when you don't have self-knowledge, this is the answer of asking yourself, have I been fooled?
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, what am I? And if you cannot answer that, then you have been fooled.
Mm-hmm.
You have came to the existence to know who you are. And how we say in the South, who you is.
Yeah, who you is. See it.
No, I'm finna park it and let someone else come forth with the introduction, peace and wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll do the introduction. This book is titled